Welcome back. Positive momentum from 2022 continues to drive economic activity in 2023, leading to a stellar economic expansion of 5% year-to-year in the first quarter of 2023. This is the second best performing first quarter in the last 10 years, despite having a high base to lift from in the first quarter of 2022. To give us a better understanding on the gross domestic product report for this year so far, I'm joined on the line by Research Assistant at Simonis Storm Securities, Angelique Bock. Angelique, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Angelique, to what would you attribute to the strong performance of the economy in the first quarter of this year?
Just as you said, now we've been observing a positive momentum since the pandemic, and what we have seen is that mining, electricity and water, transport, hotels and restaurants, wholesale and retail are the top 5 performing industries or sectors that are driving this positive momentum towards the GDP. And I mean, just as you said now, it's also to further that is the resilient vehicle sales. We have foreign investments within our mining sector, investment in the green hydrogen, expansion of major roads, strong marketing of livestock, and improved fishing export earnings. And also our local transport sector has been taking advantage of the logistics issues that South Africa has been suffering with due to load shedding.
Predicting what can be expected in the following the quarters that follow, can we expect in terms of growth the same sectors to drive it?
We do expect the momentum to continue in 2023. We see major improvements in business activity within tourism, transport, the financial services sector. At the moment, we are still forecasting 3.7% growth for 2023, but this is because of a low base effect in 2022, because 2022 there was a low base. That's why 2022 had a better growth than 2023, or what we forecast for 2023. So we are not saying that growth will slow down. We are just saying that the positive momentum will continue.
Angelique, it doesn't seem that many jobs were created despite increased investments, in mining, exploration, and green hydrogen. What are the reasons for this?
I mean, we have to understand that mining is very capital intensive. So you don't need many people to mine more minerals. And because of this capital intensive nature of mining, we can have high growth, but not many jobs created from this. And we only expect these mega projects such as the green hydrogen and oil to contribute to employment figures only in 8 to 10 years later. So that won't fix our unemployment in the short to medium term. And that's why we are not seeing lots of jobs being created, although we have all of this investment in our country.
Yeah. In your report, you're confident that Namibia credit ratings will remain stable. Why is that?
So if we look at the fiscal metrics that Moody's and Fitch look at, they look at the debt to GDP ratio, right? So this is basically taking the debt as the numerator and GDP as the denominator. So the denominator in this ratio, which is nominal GDP, is boosted by inflation, higher prices, and higher output. So if we put that together, if there's an increase in both price and output, debt to GDP will most likely fall because our nominal GDP is increasing, making the ratio decrease. And that makes it more likely for the ratio to improve. And so we also forecast that tax revenue will increase because of NAMRA's efficiency that has improved together with improved economic growth. So that means that it will make it more likely for government to pay off debt.
Yeah. Also, Angelique, what is the reason for the decrease in life insurance premium?
So this is just speculation. We are very uncertain, but we are speculating that because of the high inflation rates and high interest rates, there's additional pressures on households to survive. And that could have led to them canceling their life insurance premium to survive, and that in turn drove the premiums down for life insurance companies.
Angelique, were there any notable changes in consumer spending patterns reflected in the GDP report?
So something that was very surprising for us is that consumption spending is still growing on a quarterly basis. But we do see that consumption spending in the first quarter of 2023 have decreased compared to a year ago. So going forward, we do expect consumption spending to decrease as a result of high living costs and high interest rates, adding additional pressures to households and their budgets.
Just finally, Angelique, what are the implications of the GDP report for future economic prospects and policy decisions?
So we remain positive on the Namibian economy in the short term. We like the momentum we see in government organizing the green hydrogen. This can bring positivity in the economy, but we would like to see the government put the same amount of effort and energy into other projects, because green hydrogen and oil will not solve all our problems. We want to see government target other projects in other industries, such as transport, agriculture, and manufacturing, so that we can diversify the activities and avoid being dependent on oil and green hydrogen in the future. And also, on top of that, we need policy reform within government to make our country more business and investor friendly.
Angelique Bock, on that note, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's take a look at our local news.